It was a cold evening in Vancouver. The rain hadn't stopped all day, and the streets were soaked under the dim orange streetlights. Inside a small thrift shop on the corner, Emma was folding clothes quietly, her fingers trembling slightly from exhaustion. She had been working double shifts for weeks now, ever since her husband, Daniel, lost his job at the factory. Life had become a series of quiet sacrifices and hidden pain. Just as she was about to close the shop, the doorbell chimed softly. A tall man stepped in, drenched from the rain, his eyes tired but kind. He wore a long coat and carried himself with the calmness of someone used to observing before speaking. "Sorry, we're about to close," Emma said politely, forcing a tired smile. "I just need a few minutes," he replied, glancing around the racks. His name was Mark, and he seemed to be looking for something specific. As he browsed, he noticed a small corner of the store covered by an old piece of cloth. Curious, he walked toward it. The cloth was draped over something large, something Emma clearly didn't want anyone to see. "What's under there?" he asked softly. Emma's heart skipped. Her voice trembled as she said, "Please, don't remove the cloth." Mark turned to her, confused. "Why?" Her eyes filled with tears before she could stop them. "Because it's not for sale, it's my husband's." Mark froze for a moment, sensing the weight behind her words. "He didn't touch the cloth, not yet." "May I ask, what happened?" he said quietly. Emma hesitated, then nodded. "Daniel used to be a carpenter," she began, her voice breaking with each word. "He built furniture for this shop. Every piece was made with love and care. But when the factory shut down, he lost everything, his job, his confidence, his health. Last year, he fell sick. The doctors said it was his lungs, too much dust from the workshop." She took a deep breath. "We sold almost everything we own for his treatment. The last thing he made before he got too weak is under that cloth." Her hands clutched the counter as tears rolled down her cheeks. "I couldn't sell it, I just couldn't." Mark stood silently, the sound of rain outside filling the silence between them. Something in her story tugged at his chest. "May I see it?" he asked gently. Emma looked at him, her eyes pleading. "Please, don't remove it," she whispered again. But he stepped forward anyway, his movements slow and respectful, as though he were approaching a sacred memory. When he carefully lifted the cloth, his breath caught in his throat. Underneath was a wooden cradle, handcrafted, delicate, and full of love. The wood still glowed faintly under the dim shop light. Every curve, every carved detail told a story of devotion. A name was etched on the side, "For Our Hope." Mark's hands trembled. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "It was supposed to be for our baby," Emma said softly. "But we lost the baby before I even knew if it was a boy or a girl." Daniel never stopped building it, though. He said it reminded him that hope shouldn't die, no matter how dark things get. Mark didn't know what to say. The raw emotion in her words hit him like a wave. He turned toward her, eyes full of empathy. "You've been carrying all this alone." She nodded. "I couldn't let go. Every time I see it, I feel like Daniel is still here, telling me not to give up." Then, something unexpected happened. Mark reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope. "I don't mean to intrude," he said carefully, "but I run a local furniture gallery. We showcase handmade pieces, each with a story. I'd like to buy this, not to sell it, but to display it, with your husband's name and his story beside it. People should know what love and perseverance look like." Emma's eyes widened. You'd really do that?" Mark nodded. "It deserves to be seen." She hesitated, looking at the cradle, then back at him. For a moment, she couldn't speak. "He would have loved that," she whispered finally, her voice trembling with gratitude. "He always said his work would outlive him." Mark carefully red-raped the cloth over the cradle, this time with deep respect. "Then let's make sure it does," he said softly. "We'll call it, the Cradle of Hope." Weeks later, the cradle stood in the center of the gallery, surrounded by flowers and warm light. People stopped to read the story beside it, about a carpenter who believed in hope even when life took everything away. Emma stood quietly in the corner, tears glistening in her eyes, but this time they weren't from pain. They were from pride. When she looked up, she saw Mark smiling from across the room. He didn't say anything, he just nodded, as if to say, "You did it." And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt a weight lift from her heart. The cradle that once represented loss had now become a symbol of love and endurance, a reminder that sometimes, even when everything seems broken, hope still lives under the cloth we're too afraid to uncover.